To God be the glory, great things he hath done. So loved he the world that he gave us his Son, who yielded his life in atonement for sin, and opened the life gate that all may go in. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Let the earth hear his voice. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give him the glory, great things he hath done. O perfect redemption, the purchase of blood, to every believer the promise of God. The vilest offender truly believes, that moment from Jesus a pardon receives. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the earth hear his voice. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give him the glory, great things. Great things he hath taught us, great things he hath done, and great our rejoicing through Jesus the Son. But purer and higher, greater will be our wonder, our transport, when Jesus we see. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the earth hear his voice. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, give him the glory, great things he hath done. Thank you, FC.
I'd like to welcome you all out today on this rainy Sunday. It's good to have Seth back in church, Debbie back in church after having bad wheels. Yeah, it's tough getting old, isn't it, Seth? So we're glad they're back today, and we're going to open the service with prayer and ask if there's any spoken prayer requests. Jackie, he had heart valve replacement. Traveling mercies there. Missionary. Can you remember Bruce? I want to throw this out to everyone too. We in churches all over the country do prayer requests, or we've got an opportunity these few minutes of every service to remember things that are needed. But this isn't just a fact of life. So many times we hear prayer requests and we listen to the prayer requests, but we forget the prayer. And it's just our nature. Especially as you get older, you don't remember, an hour ago sometimes. I mean, we know that's true. So, and I just say that because everybody in this room probably has a cell phone in their pocket or in their purse And on that reminders thing, it helps me so much during my week. Like if I'm going to do something in the morning, there's a reminder in there that tells me to remind of, because it's easy to forget. But prayer requests are so special and so important, and it gives us an avenue, a direct line to God to ask something special for somebody. That's one way of remembering. I just want to throw that out there. Maybe I'll start doing it with prayer requests. But I don't keep my phone in my pocket. But we should do that. Something to remind us. Tammy writes it down, and that's fantastic. Pardon? Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Thanks. Absolutely. So, mhm. So if you want to be reminded of that, give Miss Tammy your email address, and you'll constantly get it every time. That's great. Thank you very much. Are there any unspoken requests this morning? Brother Charlie, will you pray for us?
Couple announcements this morning in your bulletins. Tomorrow night we have unless it's flooded, the opportunity to serve at the ball field from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock for helping hands. If you like to get involved in that, we have a great time. I just enjoy going. I don't know if everybody else enjoys as much as I do. I just enjoy going out there because for me it's fellowship and also time to witness to people. And sometimes I'll walk up to people to try to start talking to them, and they get their hot dog and walk away. Don't want to hear from me. But I just enjoy the fellowship that we have out there from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Next Sunday, May 12th is Mother's Day. We'll have a gift for every mother in our services, and there'll be a special video. And I'm excited about that because I've been to see the preview of that. The next Sunday night, May 12th, is after the evening service. There'll be a kindergarten graduation reception. We've had 3 children graduate in kindergarten this year. And Saturday, May 18th is a young adult refresh conference. Will be held at Ripley Baptist Temple from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There will be breakout sessions for parents, young married couples, and college and career, given by area pastors. And brother, let me know if you're interested in going to this. Is there a cost for that, Tammy? There's not a cost for it. Okay. So if there was a cost for it, I'd pay for it yourself. But if you feel like a young couple or a young individual and you want to go to this, it doesn't give an age. It says young. So whatever you feel is young, Mike. If you feel young, I'll go out there. Okay, but it'll be good to go. Okay. That is all the announcements that we have. Let's take up offering. Marlon and Ted, will you come bring up offering? Take up offering. Ted, you lead the prayer.
Did we have any birthdays or anniversaries from the past week? Birthdays or anniversaries?
Okay. Open your Bibles, please. Matthew chapter 17. Matthew 17. Matthew chapter 17. Let's all stand together one more time. We'll stand as we read. Because we're standing, we sit too long. We sit just for 1 moment as we read together. Matthew chapter 17. Look down at the end of the chapter verse 24. Matthew 17:24. And we'll read down in the chapter, but I want you to leave your Bibles open because it continues on into 18. First couple of verses. Matthew 17:24. And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, Doth not your master pay tribute? He saith, Yes. And when he was coming to the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, What thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Then Peter said unto him, The strangers. Jesus said unto him, Then are the children free. That means we don't owe a tax. Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea, and cast an hook, and take up the fish that first cometh up. And when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money. Take that and give to them for me and thee. Look at verse 8, chapter 18. We'll read the first couple verses, the first 3 verses in it too. At the same time, because it all runs together, at the same time came the disciples unto Jesus, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus called a little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them. Said, Verily I say unto you, except you be converted, and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for your word. I pray your blessing. Preaching of the word for the next few minutes. I pray you'll speak to each heart here this morning as needed. And I pray you'll help us to apply it in the proper way. Thank you for loving us, Lord. Thank you for the truth you've given us in your word. Please bless in Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Thank you. Have a seat. Jesus and Peter come into Capernaum, and the tax collector says, Does your master pay a tax tribute? Peter said, Yeah, we'll pay. And Jesus stops Peter as they go into the house. He said, Why'd you say that? We don't owe a tax. We don't have to pay that. It's not required of us. We don't have to pay that. But since you said that, lest we should offend them, go to the sea, cast in a hook, bring up the fish, the coin in his mouth, and give that money to the tax collector for the tribute money to pay the debt. Now, we don't owe the debt, but we're going to pay it. We're going to do more than what we have to do on this.
situation because we don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to offend these people. We got a ministry to perform here, so we're not going to do that. In that teaching, Jesus is saying we'll go beyond our requirements. What's the least is required of you? What's the very least of every Christian to do his duty? I know people that go to jobs. I've been working on either on a time clock or salary since I was 15 years old. So over 40 years I've gotten this, and I see this. There's some people who show up and they want to find out what is the minimum requirements for me to keep my job. I'll do the very least that I have to do. We kind of joked about this the other night at the ball field. We're telling stories about people that we knew or we worked with. And Preacher Dave told me a story about someone at the hospital would walk around and work construction at the hospital. And he would get a 2x4 on his shoulder or a handful of tools, and he'd just walk around. If he had nothing to do, or couldn't find anything to do, he'd walk around with it, in a construction area as if he had something to do. I don't know if Dave ever did this, with a handful of wire and some wire nuts, and I could walk around, got wire nuts in my teeth, and he just walked around with looking for something, or just trying. Mike said there was a painter. I think Mike's one told the story. There was a painter that carried the same bucket of paint around for a week at the plant. They carried, is that right? Carried the paint bucket of paint around for a week, and then he'd just go sit on a bench somewhere, talk to people. And at the end of the week, he'd paint a bench or whatever, and put a sign on it, what paint. Looked like he did something, but he's carrying that same paint throughout, making everyone think he's working. There's two guys I worked with years ago, 30-some years ago, Capital Engineering. One of them had this philosophy when the bosses came to us, because he was my team leader in our department of work. He said the difficult we do every day, the impossible just takes a little longer. So there's nothing that our bosses could bring to us and him not be able to fit between the two of us really to figure out how can we get this done. And there was another guy that worked with us, and we didn't make any money that had worked. This guy, a man named Johnny Odom, that had worked at the Ford plant out in the southwest section of Chicago. He worked at the Ford plant. They all made $26 an hour plus all their benefits. But he said the attitude of everybody that worked at that Ford plant was, "What do I care? It's not my car." Okay? They all lost their jobs at the Ford plant, and now Johnny was working with us for about $8 an hour. Okay, I made $6 because I didn't have the experience. He had lots of experience. I had a little bit more money. But he said, so he went from $26 an hour to $8 an hour. But the main reason he went from this pay to this pay was because his whole attitude was, what's the minimum requirements that I have to do to keep the job? Okay. What's the minimum? What's required? What do I have to do? Jesus told Peter, cast the hook in the sea, pull up the fish, get the coin, and pay for us. Lest we should offend somebody. We don't want to offend these people. We're here to minister to these people. We don't want to offend them. We're going to do more than what we have to do. I was kind of taught that ever since I was from a child. I think my dad was good about doing that, doing more than what you have to do. And Jesus gave the illustration of whosoever compelleth thee to go a mile, go with him twain. It was a Roman law that boys had to carry soldiers' packs for a mile, so they'd mark a mile. When out of town, they'd mark a mile. But Jesus was saying, you're required to go a mile, go two. If you have to do one, do twice as much as what you have to do. Go far beyond what is expected of you. I have a sign on my wall in my office. It's been there for 20 years. It says, the only certain measure of success is to render more and better service than is expected of you. My boss didn't put that up there. I put that up there because I want to do more than what anyone expects me to do. And I think so far in the 26 years I've been at the job that I've been at, I think I've done more than what anyone would expect me to do at that job. I mean, I know I compete with my boss on sales every month because when they bought the company, he came in and he said, "I beat you this month." I didn't know that competitive spirit. I thought I lost that when I quit playing sports, But when he came in one day, he said, "I beat you last month in sales." I said, "I'm not going to do it next month." We make a game of it just so I can beat him in sales, and he'll text me. And what the number is, if he wins, this past week on the first of the month, I was driving to Virginia or someplace, and I called our office. I asked Jason, I said, "What was the number for the month?" And he told me what the number was, and I said, I knew I must have beat Jack because he hadn't called me yet, because he'll always call me or text me. If he wins, he texts me. If he wins, he calls me. Okay, if he doesn't win, he won't even see me till I show up. There's something inside me says I can't do minimum. I can't do what is the least expected of me. Okay, and it's a Christian philosophy. We were at a restaurant when Jared graduated college. We went to a restaurant. Johnson was up there. I can't remember who all. A bunch of people were there. We went to a restaurant. There's probably 20 of us in our group. And I've heard people complain about Christians not tipping at restaurants, and Christians are like cheap. Okay, I don't know if you've heard that from other people. I know Tracy said the worst time to work at Food Land back years ago was when Christians got out of church on Sunday afternoon. They're ramming the buggies through. Get out of the way! I gotta get to the store. I gotta pick up stuff and go home and just be in church. Okay, and I've heard Christians, so we're at a restaurant and the ladies served us. They served us really well. There's probably 20 people in our group. I got the real hefty tip. Because they knew who we were, where we were from. They knew that we were from. They knew that we were there from from House Anderson College. I left a real big tip on the table because just in case anybody else didn't. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to go way beyond so no one could ever come back and say you didn't. Okay, you should have. Okay, I'd rather go at the end of life with an empty wallet and say I'm glad I did that, rather than to take it with me to the grave. Y'all with me on that? Okay. Then we read down to chapter 18. And Jesus said, we're going to do more than what we have to, talking to Peter. Okay? Then you got to 18:1 and said, the disciples came to him and said, who's the greatest? And he brought a child in the midst of them, just a small child. Whoever humble himself, read it. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same as the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. We think greatness is what we can accomplish. It's not. Sometimes we get caught up with other people's opinions, what they think greatness is. We do what we do because we think someone expects us to do. Okay, the only way to meet everyone else's expectations is go way beyond what they think you can do. To do more than what is expected of you. Okay, and you never, if you do that, if you live by that, then you'll never get to the end of it. And someone says, "Oh, I was disappointed with it." Okay. I want everybody that I work with, come in contact with, to serve in any capacity. I want to, at the end of the day, say, I'm glad we asked him to do that. As a very large business recently, I talked to a man that I'd never met before, and I commented on his secretary that I've known for years, and I said, she's a great lady. And he said, it's great, you can just hand her something and never have to worry about it again. And he said, she says that about John. He didn't know who I was. I've seen him. He's seen me, but I didn't know who he was. I know he's the boss guy. She said, when I given her jobs before, she said, I'll have John take care of that. He doesn't know if John's an employee at the bank. Yeah, John's going to take care of it. He works for us. Oh, really? And my boss was working at a place in Somersville, and he was working for our company. He's at a place in Somersville, and the president of the corporation, I think it's Bill Bright, the Bright Corporation, 30 years ago. And Bill Bright said, they were talking about a project there, like a business meeting. He said, let's have David do that. David. And they said, David who? They said, David, that's his last name. They said, he doesn't work here. He's a salesman. And the president of the corporation who wrote everybody else's checks said, he's just a salesman, but he's here all the time. He does everything everyone asks him to do. He goes way beyond what anyone else asked him to do. So as long as he was going on that company was buying everything he could for him. But John, it's just a sales pitch. It's not a sales pitch. It's a Christian way of life. Okay? It's just saying, okay, I know what's required. I love it that our church family goes beyond what has to be done. Okay? There's situations right now where everyone's calling and saying, what can we do? How can we help? We'll do anything you want me to do. Okay? And our church family is doing that and has done that for 25 years. First of all, I want to thank our church family for doing it, for being that person or that group of people that says, there's a need, let's fill that need. Okay? I like the idea, when Clarence came and did the first work on the building up here, when he left here with 4 times as much money that he gets from any other churches for the same amount of work they did. Okay? Why? I guess we've been taught this, right? Second amount of Christianity is do more than what you're expected to do. But there's some people in life that their own opinion matters as theirs. Okay? And you can't satisfy them no matter what you do. Don't worry about those people at all. Okay? It doesn't really matter. Because you're not going to make them happy anyway, no matter what you do. Okay? You could last of the moon and pull it down for them. They're not going to be happy. You don't worry about those people at all. Because those people are often, like the disciples were in 18:1, they're looking for who's the greatest. And the greatest is not the person that they think it's going to be. The greatest is the one Jesus puts right in the middle and says the humble person is. Well, you be converted, humbled like this little child, and put them in the midst. And say, I'm going to show you what greatness is. It's not what you think. Okay? It's not what the world does on comparison things. I mentioned earlier in Sunday school class, I like listening to radio. I like listening to ESPN and the sports analogy guys on the radio all the time. And they talk about the greatest person in the stands, probably the popcorn salesman guy. The greatest person there is the janitor pushing that broom out there on the basketball court after the game's over. Who's the greatest? It's not the guy that's dunking the basketball. Okay? Could be the parents that raised him. Or could be the coach that taught him T-ball, baseball season going on. The greatest could be, I remember Rebecca was in T-ball. Y'all would know, most of y'all know who this is. I remember Kenny getting down, Kenny Harper, everybody knows who he is, but coach out there, so it's 1812 or something. I remember Kenny getting down and, you know, the tees right here, and with all these little 5-year-olds, and explaining to them at their level. And I how long has it been since Rebecca played T-ball? 20-some years? I think it's 5. So, and I think that's the greatest coach. Okay? He may still be, I don't know. Yep. But there's something bigger than man's opinion. It's God's opinion. It's more what we owe to other people. What's more than what the minimum? What's the greatest? Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. That scripture is written about finances, but it's not really about finances. To me, it's not about finances. It applies to every area of life, seeking his kingdom, his righteousness, and coming out with the answers of life and saying, man, this is good. I don't know what the answer is, but I know he does. It takes away beyond offending people because you don't really worry about whether you met their needs or not. You went way beyond them. You're not worried about the tax collector because you didn't try to cheat on your taxes. You're not worried about the tax collector because you did everything you're supposed to do. You'll do more than what you're supposed to be. You'll be more than what you're supposed to be. There's only one to please, and that's God. I like the idea there's some ethic. I mention sports all the time. I used to watch it a lot, but I don't have time. I know there's a lot of athletes that say I'm playing for an audience of one. A lot of Christian athletes that say perform their job. It's just a job. Their performance is that for an audience of one, they're doing what they're doing for God's glory. They're trying to give him the praise and glory for everything that happens in their life. 2 things. Love this. Christianity is not what you require of other people or your opinion. It's what moves you, motivates you, some kind of higher standard of what you're supposed to do. I don't care. It's doing electrical work, lumber, housewife, whatever your job is. I don't care. Raising your children. It's a motivation inside of you that says, I'm going to do the very best that I possibly can. And I'm going to do your best and hang the rest when Sam said, or pray as if everything depends on God and work as if everything depends on you. And so I'm going to do my very best, leave it up to God, leave the outcome up to God. Christianity, a lot of people is comparing one to another. It's not. It's not supposed to be. Okay? There's results from this. 2 things come to my mind. One, the coin is always there. When you obey Christ, to hook out there, the coin is already in the fish's mouth. When you obey, you do what you're supposed to be doing. It's a humbling thing to say, this is stupid, taking a hook with nothing on it, cast it out into the water, see what I get. The coin is already there. It's the obedience that brings the fish to the coin. Your obedience to casting the hook out there brings that fish. The coin's there. He meets our every need. I don't know how many people in our church can do this morning, but I can look at my life and look back to what I was as a kid or as a teenager, or even as a young adult, until I knew where I was going, and say my life has been abundantly blessed and abundantly satisfying, knowing God's will. Where you going, Brother John? Throwing a hook out there, even nobody bites. Throwing a hook out there because the coin's already out there in the fish's mouth. It's just the idea of saying, we're going to obey him. Okay? The coin's always there. The results are always there. God always provides abundantly. He always blesses abundantly beyond our measure. But it also means something else to me. Who's the greatest then, Brother John? Could be the kids just went there. Who's the greatest? Could be Franklin, Charlie Boy. Okay? Who's the greatest? Could be when you watch the video next week, that little kid in the nursery going, blah, 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 blah. One of your grandchildren. You'll know who it is. You'll know. You'll recognize what I'm talking about when you see it. Who's the greatest? The person that humbles himself. It's not about comparison to other people. Like someone said in Sunday school last week, comparison is a robbery of joy. I don't know who said that. Somebody said that last week. Comparison is a robbery of joy. Okay. I don't have to worry about a tax collector because I'm going to give more than I have to give. I don't have to worry about somebody else's opinion. I'm going to do more than what I have to do. I'm going to far exceed, because he's already put the coin in the fish's mouth. All I got to do is cast the hook at what I'm supposed to do. Humility is putting everyone on the same plane, seeing everybody equally. The janitor, the president, doesn't matter. I love this. Because God's always the same. He spoke the worlds into existence. He's always the same. Right? He causes the rain. Oh, but John, we got too much rain. We didn't get too much rain. We got just the right amount. Okay? But John, said God doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. You trust him enough to humbly say, like a child, I don't know. What do you want me to do? Simple. That's our Christianity. It exceeds everything else we could ever do in life. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. Help us not walk past a child knowing that they could be the greatest. Not that we treat them as a king. No. We treat them as a child of a king. Help us not to be worried about opinions or setting a goal or reaching a goal. Going way beyond it. Excelling everything else that anyone expected of us. Thank you, Lord, for loving us, for the blessings you've given us in life, and the path that you put us on. I pray you bless our church family this morning. Meet every need. I don't know what all the needs are. I know there's a lot of medical needs. But you know the medical needs. I know there's a lot of spiritual needs within our family, our lost siblings and brothers and sisters and our parents and spouses. I know those who are backslidden or out of church that need help. Lord, I pray you'll use us for your glory in a way that will point others to Christ. I pray you'll use us. Bless us. Help us to realize coins out there. So we get it. The blessing is there. It's in that child at the door. But we won't pass up the child with the person at work that needs us. Use us, please, for your glory. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. I'll stand and sing. Page 377, where he leads me. Page 377. I can hear my Savior calling. I can hear my Savior calling. I can hear my Savior calling. Take thy cross and follow me. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him with him all the way. Second verse. I'll go with him through the garden. That's where you're praying, not I will, but thine. I'll go with him through the garden. I'll go with him through the garden. I'll go with him all the way. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him all the way. I guess this morning's message of going beyond what you have to do is a thank you to our church family for who you are. Now, some of you don't see what other people do, and I get to see what other people do sometimes. It's just I rejoice in it. And I get a phone call saying, "Do you know that they did this? Did you know that your people did this?" There was a guy who came to church here one night. He said there's a snowstorm, and one of our kids picked him up and took him home. Him and his wife were trying to walk home. They couldn't get home. They got stuck in the snow. And I said, "Who was it?" He told me what they were driving. I said, "I know who it was. It was just one of our kids." And he said, "Why? He didn't have to. Or he just wanted to show off his 4-wheel drive. I don't know. He could go up the hill. No one else could." But anyway, thank you for what you do. Mark, you dismiss us, please. Thanks for coming out today. Careful going home with the flooding.